Hi everyone, welcome to another episode on the Therapy Dogs Australia podcast. Today, Sam and I are going to be discussing what services Therapy Dogs Australia has on offer currently. We have some very exciting additions including online puppy, adolescent and adult training classes, as well as a self-paced study option for our bigger courses. We'll cover everything you need to know if you're interested in studying with us and give you a good idea of where to begin. Grab a cup of tea and we'll get started. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome back to the Therapy Dogs Australia podcast. It's going to be Sam and I talking today about some of the recent updates with Therapy Dogs Australia. I thought we'd give you a bit of a rundown so everything's nice and clear going forward into the new year. So how are you, Sam?
I'm good, thanks.
So do we want to just cover the topic points to get started with what the new changes are, and then we can just go through each one, Sam?
Yes. So I'm going to talk everybody through today, like some of our course changes and frequently asked questions, just so that this is we want to keep it sort of short and punchy so that people can come and jump on and figure out sort of how to navigate our program. So we're going to talk through our clinical and community courses, and then the options that we have leading up to that, which includes our juniors course. We've got online weekly and fortnightly dog training classes now. I'm going to talk through our members only section on our website and how to use that, because you do need to use that to book some of the services. And then we've got our postgraduate stuff as well, which is things like professional development and supervision and stuff like that. So we're going to go through each of these things, and I might just start from the beginning of the dog's journey, the dog and handler's journey.
Good idea.
And work through, you don't have to do all of these programs. You can just do the clinical or the community course, and that's it. That's enough. But if you're getting started with a younger dog, or you just really, really keen and you want to learn as much as you can, or you're not ready yet because you don't have a dog yet and things like that, you can do different options leading up to your courses, your clinical and community course. And then post your course, you don't have to do anything else with us except your reassessments, but you can. So you can do professional development and stuff like that.
Yeah, that sounds great. So if I was to just come to the Therapy Dogs Australia site and discover us for the first time, we've got the introductory workshop, don't we? As the very first entry point.
Yes.
Oh, do we have
absolutely?
Do we have any changes with that?
Not at this stage. That is a very popular workshop. So we only do that about 4 times a year because we're so busy with everything else. But it is a really popular workshop, and it's great for like organizations and things like that sort of want to get involved, but they're not sure. They don't even know, like, what is animal-assisted therapy really? Like, what is going on here? It's a really cool workshop that covers from, what is animal-assisted therapy, and it goes through examples of, this is what it actually looks like in practice. We talk about dog selection and things like that in there, because we get a lot of people that don't have a dog yet do that course. But it's a really cool, it's kind of like our 4 and 5 day courses condensed into one day. So it's a real breadth rather than depth. So it gives you a really good insight as well into who we are. So before you go and invest in those longer courses, you can do the intro and, go, okay, so I really like this training. So I think I will, go with these guys. Or you can go, okay, well, I've seen these guys now. I'm going to go and have a look at someone else and see what they do. It's definitely not for, you don't have a therapy dog at the end of that. It's just for the human. And it's just an overview of, what the industry is and things like that.
And you can ask whatever questions you need to ask at that workshop, can't you? Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's why we're still doing that one. I've been doing that workshop for like 8 years, and it's still as relevant today. Like, we obviously update it, but it's still as relevant today as what it was like 8 years ago. It's actually the first workshop that I wrote, and it's still like we get such good feedback from it, even still now. Because I sort of thought, oh, have we outgrown it? But nah, because some people, they're just beginning their journey, you know, like and this information is important and relevant for them. Heaps of time to ask questions. That's why we like it still being a live delivery. And you're in a group as well. So it means other people are asking questions too. And that can always, you know, someone will ask a question you didn't think of and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah. That's handy. So if you
do the intro workshop, you don't have to, but if
that's right. You continue, Sam.
If you do the intro workshop, which you don't have to do, you then might decide to enroll. So if you've got a young dog, you might be getting involved in our juniors courses. So we've got our juniors mentoring program, which is new. This course, it's broken into 2 age groups. So we've got puppies and we've got adolescents. Your puppies are 8 to 16 weeks old and adolescents are 16 weeks to 12 months. The adolescents part of this program is still in development. So we didn't have an adolescent program, and we expect to have it by early 2023. But at the moment, the puppy program is live. So what is included in this is the way to join the puppy program, there is a webinar that you purchase on the website. If you go to courses and the drop down and go juniors mentoring program, it's in there. The links to buy it are in there. Once you've bought that, so what's in that webinar is all of the must know, like it covers a lot of the theory and things like that of how are we trying to nurture a puppy into a therapy dog. Notice we can't really train a puppy into a therapy dog because being a therapy dog is about the dog's personality. So we need to nurture their personality and into giving them, you know, the best possible chance of having a therapy dog career. Some dogs are just not built for it. They don't like it, and so therefore it's not the right fit for them. But there are things that we do differently to typical puppy trainers, pet puppy trainers, assistance puppy trainers. There's things that we do a bit differently. And that's all explained in that webinar.
It's also just terminology and things like that. They're really helpful. So when you actually go into the classes, you know what you're saying, like what you're talking about straight away. Oh, yeah, they talked about that in the workshop.
Exactly. And that's why the webinar is the first step of joining those puppy classes, is because the classes aren't run as a course that starts on this date and then you get 8 weeks and ends on this date, because everyone's puppies are different ages. So we've designed that course, so that puppy school is Monday at 6 p.m. and it's online classes where you log in and you can show us videos, you can share screen with us videos of what's happening with your puppy, you can ask questions, you'll get given activities to do and things like that. Just like a normal puppy school, but without your puppy sitting there for an hour being naughty or getting tired or, you know, doing all those things. You'll be guided through, you know, appropriate socialization of puppies and things like that, what we're looking for, those personality traits that we're looking for and how to nurture those and things like that. So the idea being that you've already got most of the theory. So if you log into your first class, you're not lost because these other people in the class have already done 4 weeks worth. You're not like, oh, I don't know what they're talking about. Everyone starts with the same base level of knowledge, but you get to do that in your own time, and then you book the classes as they suit your lifestyle. So you can book as many as you want between 8 and 16 weeks. You can book 1 if you want to, and if you
That's my
really
favorite
think
part.
you need lots of help, you can book 8. Yeah. So they are casually booked. So it's only $20 per class. And the reason that it's like that is because you've already done the puppy webinar. Okay, so to book those, you're going to jump into you're going to purchase your puppy webinar, but you're going to make a members account on our website. Okay, so you just jump on the members only page. It'll ask you to make a account. So it's just your email and choose a password. Once you've done that, it will send me a notification, but you can email me if it doesn't, sam@therapydog.com.au, and I approve your access to this special booking page from my end. So don't, just log in and think, oh, that's it. Oh, I can't see anything. I don't know what's going on. Email me if there's an issue. Contact any of us and we'll sort it out. But I've got to grant you access to that special members only page, and you get that access once you've done the webinar. So, which you download the webinar straight from the website. Okay, then you're going to jump on and you can book your puppy classes from there. Now, exact same thing for our adolescents. So when we have our adolescents up and running, which like I said is probably going to be January, that will be exactly the same, but it's even better value because you're going to have your adolescent webinar, but then you've got access. So those classes will be fortnightly because those a week goes by really quickly, but we need a week. We need that weekly contact with puppies because they're developing so quickly. The adolescent dogs, a week flies by really fast. So we've offered those for fortnightly. They're 7 p.m. on Mondays. You will be able to book those at $20 per class until your dog's 12 months old. So if you start with the puppy class and then you go into the adolescent class, you get that adolescent webinar when it's ready, and then you just book as many classes as you need throughout that time. By the time you get to 12 months old with your adolescent dog, if you've been working through the content that we've given you, your dog's going to be very ready to pass their therapy dog assessments if they're the right dog for the job. So the only thing you'll have left is their personality. But remember, we've been advising you on nurturing their personality traits throughout the whole puppy and adolescent life of the dog. So
will you be able to
by the time you get to the end,
idea
it's like,
if you think ahead of time that their temperament is not right for that role? Yeah, so that's going to be so invaluable for someone that's looking at that. Yeah, that's fantastic.
And it's a win-win situation in terms of you've got to train your dog anyway. It doesn't matter if it's going to be a therapy dog or not. You need to train your dog anyway so they can have a great life. It doesn't matter if they don't want to be a therapy dog. They're still your dog. So if you want to be able to go and do fun stuff with your dog, take them camping, take them to the cafe, ride up around on your stand-up paddle boards with them and stuff like that, then you need to train them. And these classes will give you the tools to have an awesome dog, even if it's not going to become a therapy dog. But absolutely, for that cost and all those classes, then, you know, wherever you get to in your classes, absolutely, we're going to know you, we're going to know the dog, and we're going to be able to say, you'll be able to say, like, you'll have enough information to go, I don't think my dog's going to enjoy this job, which means that you're not then having to invest in one of our clinical or community classes, which are expensive, so that you can get to the end and we go, oh, now that we've known you for this long, which is either 5 days or 5 weeks, maybe your dog's not right. Or you actually, what happens is the participant, the student usually gets to the point and goes like, oh, my dog's not really going to enjoy this. And they don't continue on with their assessments, which is the right decision. But yeah, absolutely. You can totally avoid that by getting into the training early on. And like I said, so you get into the training early on and then your therapy dog assessments are easier, or you get into the training early on and you find out your dog's not right to be a therapy dog and you haven't gone and wasted all this money doing these other courses. Win-win.
Yeah, exactly. And $20 a class is fantastic as well in terms of
cost.
Yeah. It's really cost effective.
It is. And, you know, you've got to buy the webinar as well, but that's it's a resource that you've then got and you can go back and watch over and over again. And it's important theoretical stuff, you know, like you will be investing in your dog, because if you want, for this dog and whatever dogs you have into your future as well, because this information, it is important for any dog, absolutely any dog. But if you've invested in a dog because you think that you want it to be a therapy dog, then the cost of the dog was only step one, which we've touched on this stuff before, but you know, you will absolutely need to invest in your dog. Having a therapy dog is not cheap. I just did my tax return. It ain't cheap. Cheaper than horses, but it ain't cheap.
Yes.
Goodness me. Okay, so that's how you can get started if you've got a young dog. If you haven't been with us since puppy, that doesn't matter. You can start with the adolescent program when we have that ready. We've got people chomping at the bit waiting for us to get that ready. So, you know, we definitely will have it ready soon, because we've got people that are, you know, really want us to get it all up and happening. So we will be doing that. It is a priority. We've just been doing a massive overhaul at the moment. So we're just getting the easier things done. And then, because that webinar is really important. An adolescent training webinar is a very important information. It's the most important time in your dog's life.
Yeah.
Okay.
Amazing.
So similarly to that, let's say, I've got a dog that's already 12 months old, but I want to get training and stuff like that. So you can either do a pre-course assessment if you've got concerns about whether or not your dog's going to be appropriate. We can do that with you, a pre-course consult. So if you go to our courses page, or it's on the home page actually, there is a link to a page there about booking a pre-course consult. That's just a one-on-one consult to we really go through who your dog is, what your workplace is, who your demographic are, all those sorts of things, and give you a pretty good idea of whether or not we think it's worth doing the training. We can't obviously tell you definitively, yes, it's going to be fine, or no, it's not. But we can give you a really good idea, or things that we think you should be working on before you pursue it. That's optional. You don't have to do that. Most people don't do it. We have actually got quite a thorough application form, so I can usually pick up on dogs and teams that I think we might need to do a pre-course consult with these guys before we let them into our courses, because I've already identified that you might have some barriers here, and I don't want to let you enroll and pay for a course just to get to the end of it and go like, oh, okay, well, this isn't suitable for us because of these reasons. So we try and identify as much of that as possible through the application form. That's why you have to apply for the courses. That's why you can't just buy the courses online. You have to apply, because I go through every single application form myself and make a decision, and I will email people back if I need more information, or if I think that there are any concerns.
Hence why I also allow some time to
through.
apply for a course as well. Don't leave it to the last minute. It's not as
I just got an application form today for one on Monday.
Oh yeah, no, that's
which is lucky, because I will get a chance to look at it. But if anyone's sending them through the weekend before, that's
very last
minute for us. Like, yeah, we probably aren't going to get to it. So, and that's just disappointing, But the benefit of also planning ahead and looking at our course dates and going, okay, so I want to do a clinical course, so our clinical course is our therapy dog and handler course, where the clinician gets trained in animal assisted therapy and the dog gets trained as well. So we train the handler how to train their own dog so that they can work safely and ethically with their dog in a clinical setting. The clinical course is 5 days. The community course is 4 days. There's no changes there. What we have changed is that you can now do a self-paced option of both of those courses. We ummed and ahed about this for so long because people are asking for it all the time, but we just didn't know how we were going to make it work, because we love running these courses live, because we get to know the students, we get to know the dogs. We can give really tailored information to their situations and things like that, because we're training every team for their specific situation. So when we're doing that, and being in a group setting, like we do group discussions and, things like, it's so good. And everyone's asking questions, and when someone else asks a question, it spurs the next question. I just love doing it in small groups. However, it doesn't work for everyone. I think it's the better option is to do it in the group. If you can put aside your 5 Mondays or your 4 Mondays, or if you're doing an intensive course, it's Monday to Friday for the clinical, or Monday, Tuesday, and then you have a break on Wednesday, and then Thursday, Friday for the intensives for the community course. So if you can make it work, do it, because, and I'm probably projecting a little bit as well myself. I do not do very well with self-paced study. Like, I'm like, oh, I can totally get this done, but I can't.
The reality is always a little bit different.
It's challenging for me.
Yeah. And it's quite the work. It's quite a lot of work. Like, it's a jam-packed week, or 5 Mondays worth. It's a lot.
It is a lot. And if you're considering typical versus intensive, I mean, we get feedback from the intensive courses. People love it, but they're always like, oh, it was very intense. And I'm like, yeah, it's in the name. We warn people at the beginning of the week as well. We're like, it is intense. Like, your brain's going to be mush, and it's harder on the dogs too. But if you can handle, it's a mixed modality course, so there are some pre-recorded things and stuff like that, so you can actually just chill out and watch the lecture and then we come back, but we fit everything into those 5 days or 4 days, whether you're doing the typical or the intensives. There's very little homework, so there's like 1 maybe 2 hours max, including the training of your dog, of homework, because we know people are busy, so we actually put the time aside in the course time that you've scheduled aside, which is me projecting as well, because that's what I would need if I was doing a short course. So that's why it's like that. But yeah, if you're going to tire, like I'm the sort of person that would need to do a typical course, even though I'd want to smash it out in an intensive. But having that week between, I think would work best for me. But we have lots of school teachers and parents and things like that they really do just need, or taking 5 Mondays off work is a nightmare because you've got a really consistent diary on Mondays. So you've got, your Monday clients are going to be cancelled for 5 weeks and it's not acceptable. You just can't make it work in the workplace, things like that. So we offer the intensive, but just be aware it is intensive, but it's a great week. Like by the end of that week, so what's really cool about it is that the students get more bonded and things like that as well. Like we always get great feedback from those. We run them every school holidays. So we go by Queensland school holidays because we're in Queensland, but every school holidays we run a clinical course and a community course. And I love it because I take that 2 weeks off of my clinical work. I'm a psychologist. I take that 2 weeks off of my clinical work and I work from home running these courses, and it's an awesome break for me. I love it, even though it is hard. It's intensive for us too. It is hard, but it's awesome. It's really cool. But if you're not that kind of person that's gonna, like, if that's not your jam, do the typical. If you can't do the typical, do the self-paced option, which is the new option that we've got. Okay, so the self-paced option. These cost more money. The reason for that is because, so even though you're going to work through the course content, for the clinical course, you need to do 5 hours of individual tuition. For the community course, you need to do 4 hours of individual tuition. This was my only way of compromising between losing that time with the students during the group classes. I needed to get that back so that we've got that time with you. We can get to know you. We can get to know what you're doing, what your goals are, and all that sort of, and we can really tailor the content to you. If you're a psychologist, so these hours will be either with me or with Amy. We're both STAP trained, board approved supervisors. So you can count those hours as your supervision hours as well.
Great.
Yeah. So it's money well spent. It's money that you were going to spend anyway, really. So that's especially the case for psychologists. If you're in another industry, have a look at your guidelines around your governing bodies and things like that, because I know that counsellors, social workers, there's a couple of other industries, they can count supervision with me as their supervision as well. So just look into that, because it's, you're going to do supervision anyway. So, for the individual tuition hours, so you pay an additional cost to the course. For the clinical course, it's an additional $825. That is just paying for those 5 hours. And I think the community course is, hang on, I'm scrolled back to it, but I think it's $660 or something like that, because it's less hours.
I think it was in the 600.
Whoa, I went too far. Yeah, $660. So the reason for that is because you're getting that 5 hours of individual. So, that's time that we have to make in our diaries. Yeah. So, whereas, obviously with the group courses, we know that we're doing that on every Monday. We're running group classes, we know that we're doing that. Whereas these other 5 hours need to be fit in somewhere else as well. So that's why there's that additional cost there. However, if you're after the flexibility and you are a self-directed learner, that's a great option for you, because you will smash this course out. It's so interesting. Like you won't want to put it down. Everything in it is awesome. We get that feedback all the time. Even people that are like, it's a bit intense or Sam's a bit abrupt, that feedback, those people, those people are still saying like that the course is amazing. You know, like the content's it's second to none.
Yeah,
Like
the
it's
feedback,
really, really
the
good.
feedback we get is great because I'm always putting together testimonials and yeah, copious amounts
Yeah.
of good feedback.
So, you know, if you're going to do a self-paced course, go for it. We've already had 3 people. We haven't even really advertised it. We've got 3 people already that have enrolled in the self-paced course option. So that gives me some encouragement that it was the right choice, even though it's going to cost a bit more. I think it is the right choice, and I think we really want to see these teams that have that less flexible schedules still getting across the line. That's always been our goal: is how can we get people across the line? How can we get their dogs across the line?
What do they
this leads me
expect? Sorry, Sam. In terms of self-paced, in terms of like what amount of time in the week do you reckon that they should be putting aside, even though you can fit it wherever? What should someone be expecting?
It's the equivalent of one day's work for each, like, what we probably call them, like modules or steps of the course. And there's 5 in the clinical course and 4 in the community course. So say, for example, you were like, all right, I'm just going to smash this thing out, and you wanted to do it over the weekends, it would be like 2.5 weekends. If you wanted to dedicate your entire weekend to it. If you were going to do it in the evenings when everyone's gone to bed, you could do it over like 2 weeks if you wanted to do it every night for like 2 hours, probably.
Yeah, that's great.
You'd probably do it over 2 or 3 weeks. It's really interesting. Like you can listen to the lectures while you're exercising and stuff like that as well. Like that, you know, it'd be good if you've got like an iPad or something on your treadmill or whatever, because we do have slide PowerPoints that go with them and stuff like that. But yeah, it's really interesting stuff. You know, when you get like an audiobook or whatever and you're like, I'm just going to go for a drive to get
best.
This stuff so I can listen to it.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah. And the worksheets and assignments and things, they go together with the lectures. Like it's all fits and makes sense. And, you know, they're like 1-page kind of things. And it's really just so that we can track your learning and so that you've got a learning resource at the end of the course. Like you're kind of making your own manual based on, like we said, like your individual situation, your dog, your workplace, what you're doing, your client demographic. It's all about you and your life and what you're going to be doing, so that by the time you've finished your course, you're so ready. And these worksheets and lectures are all in the clinical or in the intensives and the typicals as well. But yeah, so when you go through it, like you'll be doing your worksheet as you're listening to the lecture kind of thing. Like it's not like you listen to the lecture and then you need to go and spend 3 hours doing an assignment on it. It's not like that. And then during your tuition hours, we will do things like, so obviously that's your time to ask questions, definitely, lots of questions. But that's where we will reflect on your learning. So the best idea, and I've written this in the course materials, but you should do 1 hour of tuition for each module or step of the program. Don't try and book all your tuition. Oh, but I haven't done the content for days or weeks 4 and 5 yet, but I'm going to do the supervision for it now. Don't do that, because we need to reflect on your learning from that and consolidate it and things like that, because there's things that haven't been addressed in the lectures and the worksheets and stuff that you'll have questions about. So things that pertain to you and your workplace and things like that. But also it's your time to pick the brains of people that are really experienced in the industry as well. There is probably going to be time during that hour or those hours to look at your dogs as well. I imagine there would be. That's what I'm expecting. Obviously, it's a new program, so that's what I'm expecting, is that there'll be time for us to train your dogs in that time as well, answer specific questions about your dog. However, if there's not, that's okay too, because we've designed this self-paced option so that we are training your dog separately to that as well. So it's included in the cost. So you get access to our online dog training video library. So everyone who registers for a community course or a clinical course, whether they're doing the intensive, the typical, or the self-paced options, everyone who registers for that one of those dog and handler trainer courses now gets access to fortnightly online dog training classes. This is relevant for our past graduates as well. Past graduates, people that are currently attending a course, so we've got a course starting on Monday, those guys they've got access now. And anyone who's booked a course in the future, so if you've booked a course for February next year, you get access to these dog training classes now.
So good.
So if you remember me talking about the puppy webinar, you need to watch that. The adolescent webinar, you need to watch that. The requirement for this one is that you need to watch the videos in the online dog training video library. I strongly suggest you do that before you attend the adult dog training classes. But you don't have to if you just want to attend and watch on. But you're going to get way more out of it if you've watched those videos, because we're explaining all the concepts in those online dog training videos.
So you don't actually,
in our library.
You don't need your dog to have sort of gone through everything in the training library. You just need to have watched it so you understand. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So those classes, they're offered fortnightly, Mondays, 7 p.m. They're online. So we've got students all over Australia. Everyone all over Australia can attend. Remember, we're Australian Eastern Standard Time. There is daylight savings right now. When you do those classes, so it's $20 to attend, same thing, $20 to attend the class. Book it casually so you can attend 3 classes a year, or you can attend 52 classes a year, and it's $20 a class. Just book it casually as required. So some people will be booking these in the lead up to their reassessments, just to double check some skills and things like that. And some people will be booking them up in the lead up to their initial assessment. So when you're doing you've done the theory work of the course and now you're getting your dog ready to pass your assessments, they'll be booking them then. And some people will book them because they've got whatever issues going on that they go like, oh, I might just check in with these guys and get some support and see what's happening with them.
And you can see how that would be really great for self-paced, because it gives you that group experience without, compromising on your timing. Yeah.
That's right. So there's enough support, because that was the other thing that I was like, how are we going to train the dogs? There's enough support with offering those classes. I don't have any doubt in my mind that we will get these self-paced dogs over the line. If they've watched the online videos, they're following those instructions, and then they check into the classes. They might not only need 1 class, they might need 10 classes. I don't know. All dogs are different. Handlers are different. You can book whatever. So with that, I think we're going to be getting heaps more dogs over the line, and faster after, even for people that are doing the, so your intensive course, guys. So you've got 5 days of dog training like consecutively. That's a lot. So we actually don't push it during that 5 days, because it's a lot for your dogs and for the handlers. So those guys, I think, would be in a position to make use of those classes as well, because you can check back in again. Like, we just jammed your brain full of all this stuff, and you can rewatch your dog training video library, and people rewatch it, and you should. But yeah, you can come back into the classes, 3 weeks after your course, and refresh and things like that, and just have a look. The week after your course, if you're excited. You can do them during your course. Like, if you've got your Monday typical classes, like typical courses, you can jump online again at 7:00 and see what everyone else is doing with their dogs as well. That's absolutely possible. So to book that, it's again in the members only thing. So if you want to do the adult classes, like I said, you do need to be enrolled in one of our courses. So the community, the clinical, either self-paced, typical, or intensive, you will need to be enrolled and paid up in one of those courses. Watch the online dog training video library. Then you can access these classes for $20 a class. So that's exciting.
Very exciting. Lots of support.
So much support. So we've gotten to the stage now where, we've got your intro workshop, optional, pre-course consult, optional, juniors mentoring program, optional. Then we've got your clinical and community courses, not optional. If you want to have a therapy dog, you need to do one of those courses. But we do have 3 options within that, which is your intensive, your typical, and your self-paced. Now, during those courses, obviously you've got all those things that are required. You need to do your assessments, things like that. So your dog assessments following the course. So if you do that with us, it's $150 for an obedience assessment, which we do via video. So everyone submits via video and everyone pays that. If you do your temperament assessment with us, that's also $150 for your temperament assessment. However, if you're not in our area and you're using a locum dog trainer off of one of the dog trainers off of our locum trainers list, they set their own fees. Okay, they don't work for us; they work for themselves. So you organise that with them. They set their own fees, so it could be anything. I don't know what their fees are, but then they send us through the assessment, and it's done that way. But if you're doing it with us, your assessment's with $300 in total. And you need to do that every 12 months at a minimum. Okay, so just make sure you're working that into your budget as well. And that's why those dog training classes are going to be helpful as well, is that people can stay on top of what they're supposed to be doing to prepare for their assessments too, which we get heaps of questions about that stuff via email. So now, you can still do that. You can still email us, but you can also pop in for a class for $20 and find out what's going on. Okay, so after you've graduated, we also have post-course training options. Okay, so we've got professional development stuff for some of it's for just graduates, and some of it's for even people that have graduated from other organizations and things like that, because we're just trying to strengthen the industry. So in regards to professional development options, we have got supervision. So we have professional supervision, individual supervision. We have group supervision as well. So we've organised a couple of group supervision sessions this year, and we will set dates shortly for next year as well. They aren't up yet, but they will be. The other thing that we have is a workshop. So we've got a 2-hour workshop that is at the moment delivered live. We'll see how we go with that throughout the rest of the year. But that workshop is about understanding your best practice model and your responsibilities as a practitioner working under third-party bodies. So that's things like Medicare, NDIS, APRA, bodies like that. So with those bodies, we do need to be really aware of the fact that animal-assisted therapy is not considered an evidence-based intervention within itself. So we just really go through that in the course anyway, but we do really go through that and how to make sure that as professionals that we are meeting the standards that are set by our professional bodies within our industries that we're already a part of. So psychologists, OTs, psychiatrists, whoever you are, making sure that we're still doing the right thing by those governing bodies in spite of involving animal-assisted therapies into our practice. So those types of things, and we will have more professional development workshop options to come as well. But just be aware that those are what we've got. So individual supervision, group supervision, and the workshop is animal-assisted therapy and third-party liability.
Which ones are for just our graduates, and which ones can other people also join? Was it the professional workshop that...
Group supervision... Yeah, no. So you can do that workshop even if you're not one of our graduates, but be a graduate of somewhere else. It's an advanced thing. So I have had some people attend that they're not in the field yet, and it's still awesome and very interesting. But the intro workshop would have been more suitable for those participants, and then they've gone on and done that one. It's the really like how to do this now, professionally now that you are a team. So it's not relevant to someone that doesn't have a therapy dog that they're working with yet.
Okay, that's good to know.
It's interesting, but it's not it's not really relevant. We can do supervision with non-Therapy Dogs Australia graduates, but I think the group supervision probably works best with Therapy Dogs Australia graduates. But if you're interested, then just send me an email and we can have a chat about that and see if it's going to be a good fit for you. Okay, so that's for your post-clinical and community course training options. So we're supporting you from puppy, before you get your dog with the intro workshop, or if you've already got a dog, it's fine, you can still do the intro workshop. puppy, adolescent, and we're training the dog and handler together in our clinical and community courses. Then postgraduate, we've got, ongoing adult dog training classes, and these professional development training options as well.
And there's always, individual tutoring, which you've got option to do even after, you've graduated, or before or during the course, or that's a really good support.
That's it.
Option too.
We still offer one-on-one dog training and individuals as well as these group courses. So if you're doing whatever you're doing, so if you're doing self-paced or you're doing whatever, and you want to check in with us again, but on a one-on-one basis to talk through things. So that's probably more suitable if you've got like problem behaviors and things like that with your dog. But some people just prefer to be with us one-on-one and have that hour with us one-on-one. You can book that through the members only page on the website. You book that with Caitlin or with myself. That's absolutely something that we're still continuing to offer. Okay. The other thing we've got is our online store. So we didn't have an online store, but I finally made one. So the online store is where you're going. Once you graduate, you're going to order your bandana through there and things like that, which you get a free bandana, including your course cost when you graduate. But you do need to order it through the store because the store is now keeping track of the inventory. And it lets me know when I need to hurry up and order things. All of our bandanas and coats are all handmade by a lady that lives locally to me. So we do order them as we run out of them. So, sometimes these will be out of stock, but they'll be coming back. So you can back order them. So don't stress. But we've got on there, like, finally put all of our merch on there as well. So we've got like various like shirts and jackets and stuff.
And
we've got all
mugs, and stickers, got everything. It's great. Bags.
Yeah. So our coats, and
leads and the harnesses are fantastic as well.
That's a great place to start if you're especially doing the self-paced option as well. Jump on the store and have a look at what is on there. All the information, if you're doing clinical or community course, whatever method of delivery you're doing, if you need the gear, jump on the store. It's all on there. There's things that you can't buy before you graduate, which includes there's a resources pack. So it's a starter pack for things like consent forms, and things like that we've made available for people. You can't buy that unless you've graduated, because we don't want you using them unless you're a graduated therapy dog and handler team. We just don't allow that. It's against our ideas around what people should and shouldn't be doing before they've graduated a course. And then also our therapy dog coats and bandanas. So, just because you've signed up to the juniors mentoring program doesn't mean you've got a therapy dog. So it means that you are training a dog and nurturing a dog's personality, hoping that they become a therapy dog one day, but it doesn't mean that the dog is a therapy dog. So therefore you cannot be cruising around wearing therapy dog coats and bandanas. But you will see that if you click on graduates only merchandise, that's the things in there that you can't just buy if you're not a grad. And it sends me the orders through, so I just check our system and find out who people are. But everything else you can buy. So you can buy hats and shirts and things like that, and you can get their training gear and things like that. The online store is actually where the puppy webinar and the introductory workshop bookings are as well. So if you're looking for those, there's links all over the website, but if you are looking for those, that's where they are. As opposed to our members only page, which is where you can actually book into the services such as the classes and temperament assessments and stuff like that, which I put them in there so that people aren't in there accidentally just buying things on the website that they won't be able to access because they're not students of ours,
Yeah, keeps it a little clearer.
It does. So the other thing that we have coming that I'll quickly mention is we are going to be offering equine assisted therapy training options in 2023. So this is very exciting for me. I know that we're Therapy Dogs Australia. So we've got a little sister business which is called Wild at Heart Horses Australia. It's not really called Wild at Heart Horses Australia, but it is in Australia. So Wild at Heart Horses, which is a nod to the 4 of the horses that I have in my paddock, which are Brumbies. So anyone who's read the Animal Therapies Limited Code of Conduct would probably be aware that at the moment, wild caught domesticated horses are not permitted for animal assisted therapy settings. So I've written a submission to the Animal Therapies Limited the Animal Assisted Services Advisory Board, because they do review that code of conduct every 12 months. So I've written a big, I think it's like 22 pages, submission to them regarding, why I think Brumbies should be involved in animal assisted therapies and how I think we can. So the concerns obviously around the welfare of these animals. So, which is I'm all on board for. So, and welfare of clients working with previously wild horses and things like that. So I've written a submission and it gets reviewed in November, which later this month sometime or something like that. But in the meantime, I have commit myself to putting together what was in the submission about what I've, put together about Brumbies and about animal therapies and about how we need to care for their welfare and well-being and things like that, and how that has an impact on the temperament and the training of the horses that we are working with. And even though, it should be for all horses, the focus is obviously on, making sure that we understand that Brumbies are horses and that, they can be included. But, just like for all horses, that we need to care for their welfare and well-being throughout the process of that, particularly during that very difficult transition time for them of going from wild living to domestic living, because it is a big transition. So I'm putting together, within the submission, I've commit to putting together those things, those ideas and things like that. And that will be a free downloadable webinar on the website. So if you click on courses and go to equine assisted, you'll see the spot placeholder for that, where that's coming soon. So I'm going to put that together and I'll record it, and it'll be a free resource so that, if there is anyone out there who is incorporating once wild living horses into their therapy sessions and things like that, that they are aware of some of the research and things like that around it, and, some of these suggested ideas around how to go about that in a way that's safe and ethical for the horses, and then therefore for the clients as well. So that'll be the first thing on there, and that'll be soonish. And then our equine assisted therapy training options will expand throughout 2023, and there will be, these will be like professional development type. There'll be introductory type options and then professional development type options. Not going to be doing the same sort of format of, a 5-day training with your horse kind of thing. That's not how this is going to go. It'll be a little bit different to that, but we don't really do it the same way with horses, but as we do with dogs. But yeah, so if you're interested in the equine stuff, there is a spot on there where you can register your interest, and it'll send me a little email and I'll put you on my list so that you can become aware when those options are available.
That is very exciting.
I am pretty excited about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was always going to happen, I think, but, I've just had the most amazing experience. I've got 7 horses and 4 of them are Brumbies. I've just had the most amazing experience with these Brumbies in their therapy sessions. They are just phenomenal horses. They really, really are. And they've taught me so much about training horses, because that's, why I did it. Like you literally have a horse that's from the wild. It's never seen a human. It's never been touched. It's, all those things. And you gentle them, and then you transition them into a domestic life. And that's what I'm really passionate about, is transitioning them in a way that is not traumatic for them, and that they understand what's going on and all the human animal bond stuff and things like that. And these Brumbies, like, my sessions, I've started taking my clients even just into their normal big paddock. Mm-hmm. And the Brumbies are just straight over. They're like, hey.
Oh, wow.
They come over and they're like, hi, what are you doing?
Oh.
Like, they're sharing breath with them, and, you know, they graze around them, and they, you know, do herd stuff. But they, like yesterday's sessions, I was like, let's sit in the, I've got a therapy paddock that's within the big paddock. And I just left the gates open, and I was like, let's sit in the therapy paddock and see what happens. And all the Brumbies came from the big paddock into the therapy paddock to come and see, like, who's in there and what's going on and what he's doing.
So
and,
curious.
you know, then muzzling over everyone and, you know, like licking them and stuff like that. It's really lovely. And I just think, you know, it's taught me a lot about, like we just talked about with the dogs, like it's really about nurturing those natural personality traits, creating space for those, and finding, you know, that way to communicate with these animals so that they understand, like, hey, this is cool. Like,
yeah,
this is a new person. Like,
safe.
yeah, great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Interesting. And yeah.
That's it. And and not shutting them down, you know, like, so we work with shut down horses, which I've got 2 older domestic horses, and they were both fairly shut down by the time I got them. I got one at 16 and one at 21, the horses' ages. So they are, you know, they don't do that. They don't come from the other paddock, even if they're in the paddock, like they're like, whatever, like, you know. And I just think, they've, you know, one's an ex-race horse and one's, you know, just been a horse. So I just think over time, like different training methods and things like that, they do lead to learned helplessness and shutdown in horses. And we're trying to avoid that in our horses and our dogs, because the best possible thing that makes an animal a therapy animal, a really, really beneficial and useful therapy animal, is an animal that enjoys it and has the space to be themselves and engage in natural animal behaviors, and those things that they offer, those behaviors that they offer, that's where we pull our interventions from. So, you know, by shutting them down, or we don't want to train the personalities out of these animals, whether it's horses or dogs, because we need those personalities for any therapeutic benefit at all. It's no use to me if the dog's just like, meh, like, you know, it's in a crate or on a bed or whatever, or, you know, in a sit the whole time. It's with someone. We want the dog to be a dog, you know, like be a dog, and let us see what that is and form a relationship with this person. And then, you know, let's see where that leads. And same with the horses, you know.
That's
and
when they're most magnetic.
Something like I'm very passionate about.
That's when anyone is most magnetic, when they're themselves. Oh, well, that's very exciting.
Yeah. Super exciting. So I think that's all of the updates. If you've got any questions, you can email courses@therapydog.com.au. I think we've covered everything. The only thing that's not up there now, so we haven't set dates for 2023 professional development stuff yet. They will come. Just make sure you sort of working that into your calendars a bit, preparation for your PD for 2023, and the adolescents course, that's still in development, but we'll
notify everyone soon on that.
Everything else is up and running.
Book in your puppy classes, book in your adult classes, get on the self-paced option if that's what you've been waiting for.
And remember that I've said that most of this stuff is optional. So that's why there's these additional, that's why it's $20 a class, is because we don't want to work the cost of these classes into everyone's fee. If you don't need them, don't do them. If you don't need all these other optional things, don't do them, and then that's why you're not paying for them. If you do need them, do them. Just budget for it, you know, like it's an investment. It's worth it. It's worth it if we're not going to lie to you. If we think that you're not going to get over the line, we're not going to keep taking your money. We stop you at the application stage. Like, I can't tell you how many applications I knock back. It's more than we take on. Like, when I just go, this isn't going to be suitable. This isn't going to be suitable. It's not suitable. It's not suitable. It's not suitable. Which is out of my best interests for the dog, the handler, and whatever the workplace is. Because I'm not going to just go, pay all this money, and then you get to the end of the course and I go, not suitable. We don't do that. We'll stop you at the application phase. Everyone gets an opportunity to do a pre-course consult. But yeah, that's why we identify that there. So if you've got any concerns, just ask us and we'll tell you the truth.
We're a friendly bunch.
Thanks, Max.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks for listening to the podcast. If you're interested in studying with Therapy Dogs Australia or you have a few more questions before deciding, please get in touch with us by emailing courses@therapydog.com.au or visiting our website at www.therapydog.com.au for more information and FAQs.